Good morning and welcome to day 2 of Create Your Perfect Presentation Challenge. I'm going to wait a little bit because I know it takes you ages to get on because Facebook hates me, especially because I wrote an entire post about Facebook yesterday and how I actually believe that they're making people get the blue tick by just putting loads of impersonators out there so that we have to buy it. So they probably don't like me today. They might not show any of you that I'm here. But if you can see me, please say hi so that I can see you're here. And do me a favour and give me some hearts and thumbs up so it shows other people. There were quite a lot of people yesterday that said they wanted to come on, they're waiting for it, but Facebook never showed them that it was there, which is so annoying when you're waiting for something. Morning, Donna. I can see at least that I'll be able to see your comments. And that is always a good thing because that doesn't always happen. Nice to see you. I would like to know from you how you found yesterday. You can tell me the truth. Did you find it easy? Have you done yesterday's yet? Are you ready for today's? I know that some people, the bit that they found the most difficult was they know their solution. Hey, Jamie. They know their solution to their problem that their clients have. And so they automatically talk about the solution. So instead of saying something negative, like, are you feeling like you're not making enough money, even though you're working really hard? Or are you feeling that you have no social life and you're on your own a lot of the time? Instead of saying that, what people were automatically doing was saying, do you want to have an amazing social life? Do you want to make more money than you need? But actually what we need is the negatives first, because we need to empathize, to sympathize with how that person is feeling so that they go, oh yeah, that is how I feel. So I must need what this person is going to teach. Done. Found it okay. Sandy said she's found it easy. Good. Amy said, easier than I thought when I actually took some time to think about it. And this is why we're taking the time to think about it. Because often when we're writing a presentation or when we're doing something, we don't take the time to think about it. We just automatically do things. But everything that you do in business should be strategic. You know, there's a strategic reason why you are putting the negatives out there first, why you're getting people to go, that's how I feel right now. So that when you're then saying, but don't worry, the solution is coming up in the presentation, they're more likely to stay and listen to it. And that's why in everything I do, lots of people think I just do things. There is strategy behind it. I couldn't choose 3 and ended up with 5. That's okay. Yesterday motivated me unbelievably. Only now I have 2 presentations to create. You'll sometimes find that if your ideal client, if you've got 2 ideal clients, unfortunately, you can't talk to both of them at the same time most of the time. What you can do though, is just keep doing a tweak to the presentation that you've got for a different client. I've just done yesterday's on catch up. Can't believe I haven't used these before. Yeah, loads of people don't. And yeah, it's of course going to be the immediate reason why people are going to want to listen to what you have to say because you understand them. No one wants to work with somebody that doesn't understand how they feel or their problems. I found it really interesting. It was surprisingly easy, still struggling to write my presentation from it. So the first 2 pages of the presentation could, if you found it easy, could literally be, is this how you're feeling? You don't need to write the whole presentation. That's just the first slide or 2. We're going to go on to the next couple of slides now. Finding it difficult to get started, but everything you said made sense. Okay, good. I won't read them all out, don't worry. Oh, I'm just going to read this one out. I'm going round and round in circles because my ideal client could be various ages. Should I focus on one age group and their problems? I would. The narrower that you do this, the better. It will feel like you're pigeonholing yourself. It will feel like you're telling 95% of your ideal client not to work with you. But actually that's what works because then the 5% of people will go, well, she's only for us. So there's no point looking at anyone else. It's like when you're a specialist. I always use this analogy and I used this in Visible on Friday. If you've got really, really bad toothache and you go into a pharmacy and there's 5 different brands on the wall of pain pills and they all say gets rid of pain fast, £1. But one says gets rid of toothache in under 2 minutes is £10. You're going to pay £10 because it's your exact solution. And that's what you want, an exact solution to your problem, not just well, they might be able to help me, but they might not really get it. So allow yourself to pigeonhole. It's okay to do that. I thought I'd done the right hook, but your wording it made me realise I was rubbish, and now I get it. Don't worry if it takes some time. It's okay for it to take some time. That's why we're doing this exercise. Okay, so just a reminder, we discussed yesterday how I believe there are two parts to coming across brilliantly when you're presenting yourself in business. And I believe the first part is preparation, knowing what you're saying. And that's why we're talking about this week about putting a presentation together. I believe the second part is being confident enough to then say the things that you need to say. And we're going to do that on Monday evening. And don't worry, I'll give you the link for that. Put it in your diaries, 8 p.m. on Monday evening. We're going to be talking about that part of it, the confidence part of it. And while we're on there, I'm going to tell you about a way you can work with me and someone very special to go even further into this. But we won't get to that till next Monday. So yesterday we started with the hook, and so that you can have the beginnings of the presentation. Should never start with about you, should always start with the hook. That's really important. I want you to remember there is a prize for doing all 4 parts. I expect the number of people to do each part to diminish each day as it gets difficult. But if you try all 4 parts, you will be entered into the draw to win one of those brilliant prizes, including a one-to-one with me, some Mulberry, some Fortnum & Mason, some business books. There's a lot going on. So attempt it. It will get you further than you were. Will there be a replay of Monday night? Yes, there will. Do not worry. And this group will stay open for a week, so you'll be able to see it in here as well. Okay, so today we're going to move past the hook, and we're going to start talking about the thing that most people start a presentation with, which is why you. Why are you the best person to listen to about this? Why should they even bother listening to you? Now, what most people like to do at this point is reel off a CV. I can tell you now that it's the worst thing you can do. No one cares about CV. It's so dull. Do not be saying, in 1984, I went to college and did this and this. No one cares. What they want to know is your story. Everything's about a story. So you may have heard of a story arc or something called the hero's journey. That's the best way to position your story. Now, as you can imagine with a hero's journey, you're starting somewhere bad. So this especially works if you've been through the problems that your ideal client are facing right now. So you start with where you were at that point. You just make sure you can still see this. It's gone all a bit quiet. And then what happens is you talk about what happened to you until it gets to a point where something changed for you and it changed what happened. And that's where you are now, teaching this to other people. So it doesn't have to be a rags to riches story. Can I just check you can still hear me? Can somebody just say hi? Because it's gone all weird on my screen. Yeah, can still see you just scribbling notes. Good. Okay. What if it's not where you were, but you're where your clients were? I'm going to get to that, and that's okay, so don't worry. But it doesn't have to be a rags to riches story. It doesn't need to be, you don't have to have experienced all the symptoms of your ideal client, although if you have, that is the story that you should tell, because there's nothing better than them going, she gets it, she's been through it, she understands it, and she's turned it round. And so I must be able to turn it round with her advice, but it doesn't have to be. So this becomes the story, and then you weave in your achievements. So it's rather than a CV, it's a story with your achievements in them. Let's give you an example. We talked about Sammy yesterday, Sammy the dating coach. So if we start with her, she used to be her ideal client. She dated a string of unsuitable men who were emotionally unavailable. She felt like she was never going to find the right person for her, leaving her disappointed time and time again. So she starts with that story. She's like, I used to be just like you, and this is what happened. And then something happened. She realised something. Now, I know Sammy, so I know that what she realised is there was a different method that she could use for dating. And that's her method that she now teaches, and she's now happily married with 2 kids. So it's like the story arc goes, she was there, where you are now, and now she's not. So that's one way of doing it. You're only going to do, even though you're probably going to put your story on 1 or 2 slides, maybe 3, your story will take 10 minutes to tell, and it should take around that amount of time to tell. So if you haven't been through the symptoms, one way that you can do this is to talk about your client symptoms. So anybody you've helped already, talk about their stories. Like I've had clients who, let's say you were a nutritionist who helps people with autoimmune disease. So you might say, let me tell you about Jane. I worked with Jane. Jane came to me when she was feeling the symptoms of bloating. She was having all sorts of problems sleeping. She was at the end of her tether. What you're basically explaining is how the people that are listening to you are feeling right now. And you know the problems that your ideal client have because you just talked about them yesterday. So are the slides stab points? I don't know what that means, but we don't do pain points. But what we're doing is relating here. So we're saying Jane felt like she was never going to be able to hold down a normal job. She was never going to make her business work because she was constantly ill all the time. But then she came to work with me and we did a few things that massively changed her life around. Jane is now in an amazing job that she loves and she hasn't had symptoms for 2 years because I helped her. I was able to help her because, and then you can list out the reasons why this is your thing. So not only have you told the experience, the story, but it's like, I've had 20 years helping people do this. I've got 3 qualifications helping people do this. So it's like a whole reason why you are the best person to speak to, but you've backed it up. You've backed it up with experience of someone you've helped or yourself because you've been there. So one of those 2 things. It just shows that you're the right person to listen to. Now, obviously, if you have won awards or been featured in the press, have any major achievements in the area that you're talking about, we need that too, because that's the credibility pieces. So, for instance, if you are talking about therapy for someone and you are an actual therapist that's been registered with an awarding body, say that. But you can't just say those things because there's no relatability to that. They don't know that you can definitely help them, that you're the right person, because you're not talking about how it either happened to you or somebody else. Yes, and because Jane was willing to do the work. And it's okay to say that too. Like Jane was willing to do the things she needed to do. I'm going to teach you what those things are later in this presentation, but Jane did them. And you can decide to do them too. Relatability, yeah. About me, if I only have a 20-minute time slot, how long should this be? 5 minutes. The hook should be 5, this should be 5. The next bits that we'll talk about over the week will form the rest of it. But really you want, 35 minutes to an hour for a presentation, a training presentation like this. I was my ideal client, but it didn't work out for me. I want to now help my clients that have that transformation instead. How can I still use my story? You wouldn't use yours if it didn't work out. I know that this is about having a baby. What you can do is go back and talk about other clients that you've helped. What about a product-based business? And nice to have, like the florist example. You have to talk about what they were worried about. So let's say a wedding planner, product-based business. Wedding planner says, or a florist. You've already talked about the problems, like you really want to have an amazing wedding. You're worried that it won't look as amazing as other weddings that you've been to. You're worried that it will look cheap. All the worries that people have. And then you've helped them not have that happen. So they had an amazing wedding. People were talking about it for years. It was beautiful. The pictures in their home are amazing. Get them to relate, to think about what that would be like, to think about what it would be like if these problems were actually solved. My story is chronic illness. Not everyone has had such severe illness. Will they think it's not for them because their symptoms are not as bad? It depends who you want to help. Like your ideal client, do they have bad symptoms or not? Like niche it in, you know who you want to help. I did a face-to-face talk last month and now I'm realizing how much I need to change it. And that's okay, that's what this is for. So don't forget when you're doing this to weave in your personality, family, hobbies, like try and mention those kind of things. Remember, it's not a CV. You are a 3D person. You're not just a business person. You're not just someone that can solve problems. They need to relate to you as a person as well. So people want to buy and listen to people that they like. So they need to know they like you. They can't know they like you if you're not telling them anything about yourselves. So I'm sure you can imagine today's task. Today's task is to write down 3 reasons why you are the right person to listen to on your chosen subject. So I've written down 3 reasons why, if I was doing a presentation about this exact topic that I'm doing right now, I might tell my story of how I was bullied when I was younger, really, really badly, and have gone from being painfully shy and crossing a road when there were women walking past me to now standing on the UK's biggest stages. You see the story arc there. I might talk about how I was trained as a TV presenter and so know all the strategies for confidence and how to get people to relate to you and engageability. I might talk about how I've sold millions using professional webinars and presentations. So they're the things that could go in there to show I'm the person to listen to on this. So we need to know why you're the person to listen to. So we want 3 reasons you're the person to listen to in thread 2, which is already in the group right now. Who's in for today? Some of you might find this easier than yesterday. Some of you will find it harder because as soon as we have to big ourselves up in any way, little gremlins are going to come into our head and go, who do you think you are? How dare you brag about the reasons why you're a good person to talk about this? And that's all mindset. That's going to happen. We're going to talk about how to get rid of that on Monday because that's all about confidence. It's okay during a presentation for you to talk about the reasons why you are the right person to listen to. The thread is in, Shelley says. Good. I'm glad to see so many of you in. All right, go do it. You'll be halfway through if you do today's. You know you can do this. Let's get to the end of the week with a presentation. Now, for those of you that want to go a bit further, feel free to write the next 2 to 3 slides of the presentation about why you. Put pictures in there, make it look great. Put pictures of your family in there if you want to as well. And then we'll go on to part 3 tomorrow, which is the core part. It does feel a little like bragging. It will do. You should brag. No one's going to sell yourself like you're going to sell yourself. If you don't brag, somebody else will. And remember, there is always somebody out there who knows less than you about your chosen subject, making more money than you because they dared to brag. All right. I will see you tomorrow morning at 10, but I'm in the group. If you need help, ask the question. This is amazing. I've been considering buying a training course on how to make your story. Not cheap, but you just said it all. There you go. Saved your money. I will see you tomorrow, guys. Have a good one.